He's alive.
I am. Very much indeed. Very much indeed. Made it back.
Welcome to Alabama Primetime Live on the Voice of College Football Network, the biggest brand in the sport, covered on the best network for all of your college football news and reactions and chatter and all that jazz. Brady and Manny back with you. I'm not wearing crimson. I'm wearing green, showing love to Dartmouth College.
I thought it was Michigan State.
No,
I was.
I got this up at Dartmouth for the last times I went up there and called a game. The Ivy, one interesting, I don't know if you knew this. I didn't know this until actually like very, very recently. The Ivy League schools, they play their first game in like week 4.
Which is crazy.
So Dartmouth opens their season on September 20th or 21st, I forget, against New Hampshire. Isn't that weird?
That's like almost middle of the season.
Yeah.
For a lot of schools. That's like, all right, we're approaching that mid-season type.
They'll play Ivies play each other, obviously. So you have 7 conference games and then the one out of conference game. It's a different world. All right. Let's turn to the Crimson Tide. Not a whole lot going on. Again, we're still kind of in that slow period of the calendar. Although we're expecting, we did have it. We'll get to this in a minute. Certain start times and TV networks assigned for some games in week 0, week 1. We're expecting a full week 0 to week 3 schedule on the 29th. So by the 29th, we will know everything for week 0 through 3, which is awesome. But Jeremy Bernard.
I gotcha. Let's go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got the audio. Like you mentioned, Jeremy Bernard. He said, it was a disgusting taste in our mouth last year and doesn't ever want to feel that way again. And then here's the audio, just hear it live and direct for yourself.
Yes.
I don't know how loud this is going to be, so I'm going to start off with the volume very, very low, and then we'll work our way back up.
I don't know. How would you categorize this past season? I don't want to do it yourself. How would you categorize it?
Ass.
Yeah.
Okay. At least he knows.
What are the goals? Like, what has this spring looked like? Kind of, what are you working on personally? What is, just tell me, give me the feel, I guess.
We've been after it.
Yeah.
Like, we got disgusting taste in our mouth.
Yeah.
Don't nobody ever want to feel like that again. And we just working, bro. We just working. The team camaraderie is getting better. But personally, I'm really just trying to work on being a leader, a vocalized leader.
Yeah.
And leading the right way. And being consistent within being a leader. Being a leader, it's a different role.
Yeah.
And I'm ready to embrace that role. And I've been embracing it. And I've been, trying to improve, trying to learn new things, how to be a leader. So I watch different podcasts about, different people. I like to watch The Pivot. That's one of my favorite.
Yeah.
And, I just like to, hear a little motivational stuff, a little inspirational stuff so I can be able to feed it to other guys. And then another thing I've been working on is, trying to bring others along on their journey of faith. You know what I'm saying? Doing what God put me here to do. I have a purpose here, and, I'm just trying to understand my purpose and also just bring guys along.
Let me ask.
All right, so I love that. I love the way he answered the question.
Yeah, no, that was
all
perfect.
The way. From the very beginning, I love the way he answered the question to the very end. That was good. I like that. Go ahead.
I want to say it's nice to see that he's going the extra mile.
Yeah, definitely.
Podcasts, the ready to take on that, because some guys they'll leader.
And they're not willing to learn and listen to the guys who've done it before them. So, that is one of the aspects where it's like, that's good to hear. The honesty was, of course, good to hear. Like, how do you feel about last season? Ass. As simple as that. They didn't get to what they wanted to do and accomplish what they wanted to do. So you got to love the brutally honest answer there. And, I think that's a a key component to, being a leader also is, being able to be honest and understand when it was a good performance, when it was a bad performance, and even beyond yourself of like, okay, even if you were good just individually, were your teammates good? Is it something they could have done better? Could you have helped them become a little bit better? So, that one, I think that is something I like to see that type of change. As far as changes in the season compared to the previous season, what's a couple things like you want to see different from last season compared to what we're hoping to see in this upcoming season?
I want to see kind of what Bernard talked about, and that's guys they're going to take the leadership roles upon themselves. They're not going to be asked by Kalen and by Kane and now Ryan step into that. It's nice to see Jeremy kind of taking that upon himself, but you can't teach that. You can't teach I don't know what the word is. Oh, self-awareness maybe.
Yeah.
This is mine now.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's a really big time positive for me.
Sure.
The other one being they recognized last season was a disaster.
Yeah.
You were number one in the country at one point. You were number one in the country for a couple weeks. And you played in the Relia Quest Bowl.
Yeah.
Tell you something. Nobody cares about the Relia Quest Bowl.
Nobody even knows what it is, to be honest.
I don't even know. Well, I don't even know what Relia Quest is. I don't know what they do. I don't know where that game is played. I watched it. I didn't enjoy watching it, but I watched it. We care about the Sugar Bowl and the Cotton Bowl and the Rose Bowl, the bowls that matter, and that's where Alabama. If they end up in like the Pop-Tart Bowl, I'm gonna raid the local Target with all their Pop-Tarts, and I'm gonna destroy everything because I never want to see that. I never want to see Bama in a Pop-Tart Bowl. I don't want to even see Ty Simpson eating a Pop-Tart. I want to see Ty Simpson eating sugar with the All-State logo in the background.
Hold a bucket of oranges or something. I need something.
Rose,
man. Hold a rose.
Flowers are at a wedding. Get rid of them, right?
Seriously,
That's
man.
what I want. That's what I want. Half the battle is recognizing the problem. Okay. And that was one. That part of the battle was one.
Yeah.
Now it's winning the second half, and it's actually accomplishing goals and seeing out the resolutions that you created for yourself. And only time will tell. Only time will tell.
Yeah. I like that. That approach. So that approach was a little bit different than mine. Because I'm thinking like more so like I want to see the consistency in play and all of that stuff. But a lot of those things that I'm like thinking of like I need to see the consistent passing game. The defense has to be there. Like, something has to be our bread and butter in terms of whenever we play teams, they're looking at a key focus. Like, this is what we have to stop coming to play Alabama. A lot of that stuff starts with the things you were mentioning of like being there mentally, having the leaders on the team, guys taking accountability and being self-aware of your play and self-aware of yourself as a person. So a lot of the things that I'm like hoping to see starts with the things you were saying, because I'm like, a team can't really be consistent offensively if they're not together, if everybody's not holding themselves accountable, and if the team isn't holding themselves and others accountable. So I'm like, the biggest thing for me is like, I want Bama to have that identity again. Like I need them to, when people talk about Alabama, I need them to say, oh my gosh, the run game is just so vicious. It's hard to stop. Like, they're going against the front four. It is just, they get a push every time. Like I need it to be something where it's like, okay, you got to watch out for their run game. But wait, don't just focus on the run game. They can also pass too. So it's like, I just need them to have more of an identity compared to last season where it was like, oh, Bama, like nobody was really worried about Bama, especially on the offensive side of the ball, because it's like, okay, well, we're better than them offensively. Like we can run better, like statistically, we can pass better statistically, like our line is better so it was just a lot of things where it sounds so crazy because, Bama, we get to a bowl game and we say it's mediocre. But like in a way, I felt like Bama became
This isn't no disrespect to Western Michigan, but this isn't Western Michigan.
I mean, seriously though, no, this is fact. It's a difference. I mean, it's a reason why Bama fans are so crazy and why we cry about getting the trash bowl games. That's not the Orange Bowl, Rose Bowl, or Cotton Bowl, and it's a reason why schools like Western Michigan celebrate getting those, because the standard is just completely different. And it's the identity, man. A lot of people, they're not expecting to just play a Bama team and push them around, and that happened last year, man. Regardless of if we played, bad teams, good teams, either way, it was just a duel every time. I want to say it was maybe like 2 games where I watched and I'm like, finally, Bama's got it. Whew,
yeah, there wasn't many.
At all. Every game I'm stressing. I'm like, what the hell? I'm not used to this. I'm like, what is going on here? Why is every game so close? I'm like, I want to go out to eat and be like, oh yeah, Bama's still up 30. Like, what happened to that?
Right. No, seriously, shout out to Western Michigan though, picking up their first national title in school history, men's hockey.
Yeah, my boys. Go Broncos.
So as we know, Alabama opens at Doak Campbell Stadium in Tallahassee, taking on Florida State. On ABC at 3:30, I'm going to expect a lot of crimson and white at that game. Distance from Tuscaloosa to Tallahassee.
Yeah, that's going to be.
I'm pulling it. I didn't know it off the top of my head. It's 5.5 hours, which I figured it was that like 5-6 hour range, 5.5 hours. I'd expect a lot of Bama fans to make the drive down.
And I think we'll have a lot of fans that travel.
I think so,
especially for the first game of the season too. It's like, people,
and especially the way, I mean, Florida State. I'm not even getting into it.
Florida.
That should be like 70-30, 70 Florida State, 30 Alabama, which normally isn't like that.
I hope, man. I hope it's a party for all Bama fans at the home game of Florida State. Like, I hope it's just a party for Bama fans because, I mean, truthfully, you never know how teams is going to come out. Like Florida State, maybe they are trying to turn a leaf, and we don't know what their team is like going to really look like until you play. But I'm more so focused on what Bama's going to look like.
I do. Like, and it starts with the quarterback.
You said, hell no, I'm not giving you that.
And it starts with the quarterback. They somehow downgraded. And you didn't think they could downgrade from last year. Mike Norvell found a way to do it.
You think so?
To Castellanos. What are we doing? Like, what are we doing? All the money. They have money.
I mean, I know they got some people over there with some
money. Like, I don't know. Castellanos can't even see over the line. I've watched him play in person a lot. He struggles, even on TV and in person, struggles to see over the line. That's problem number one. If you can't see what you're doing, that's like driving. If you can't see the road, you're probably going to end up in an accident. If you can't see where you're throwing the ball, you're going to not
throw an interception.
Like, it's common sense. But anywho, we did get a very small snippet of TV schedules and network assignments and kickoff times for select games in week 0 and week 1. So while we have the time, we're going to hit a quick, what do we think of this? And then if you haven't heard some of these assignments already, we'll get them to you. We're just going to go FBS only for the sake of time. Yeah, so week 0, there's going to be one ranked versus ranked matchup. It's going to be Iowa State, Kansas State in the Aer Lingus College Football Classic. That game being played in Dublin, Ireland. ESPN has that second year in a row. The worldwide leader has had that game. 12 o'clock Eastern start. In this is going to go, like, for me, this is right down the middle. I think last I read, they already had the line out for this game, which, hold on, I'll tell you what it is right now, which I was shocked that quickly. They would have a line out.
They said if they want to get anybody and everybody
Yeah,
that they can
seriously. Let me.
early.
I promise I saw it. Kansas State give it 3.5.
You got okay. So who you got? Who you got winning? A quick hitter. Who you got winning?
Becht left, right? Rocco Becht did leave, so we don't know the Iowa State quarterback situation. I like Kansas State's defense more. Avery Johnson had a good freshman year. I'm gonna go K-State.
Yeah, I'm going Kansas State too.
K-State by a touchdown, I feel like is right now where my head's at. That obviously may change.
Yeah.
But
I'm Kansas State too. Yeah, for sure.
That Thursday. So week 1 leading in starts Thursday. Really unusual kickoff time of 5:30 Eastern. Boise State cross country to Raymond James to take on USF. No Genty, obviously. Genty plays for my Raiders now. But USF, I feel like there are expectations and they're just never met. So I think Boise State, I know the travel is going to be a pain, but I feel like this should be an easy win for Boise State.
I don't know, man. That one's. I think I'm gonna go South Florida, man, just because the program has been, consistent over the past few years, and I think losing Gentry is going to be a huge loss, but potentially that's a good matchup that you might be able to watch too. So who knows? I feel like it can go either way. And then South Florida, with that conference, man, they always got to run into some nice teams.
The Americans tough.
Yeah, they got to run into some good teams. So like after Boise State, they play Florida, Miami, South Carolina. Like they usually run into some good scores. So they can never be like, too bad because they got to be prepared. So I think that's another reason I'm gonna go for South Florida, because usually their strength and schedule is a lot tougher than what I've seen Boise State in the past. And I know Boise State had a big season last year. It was great for them, but also like when I think about, South Florida, this is a team, they get wrecked every time they play Bama, but they still go out there and play Bama.
Remember when 3 years ago now, Bama went to Tampa?
This is true. And it was scary. Even last year was actually scary to start, because I'm pretty sure that was the game Saban was there and everybody was like, damn, this is like insane. Like,
that's right. That was
terrible.
The retirement game.
Right. People were like,
the dedication, rather, not the retirement, the dedication.
Yeah, the dedication. That's what it was. That's what it. Yeah. So
it was the dedication, and
this looks scary. And then they ended up obviously, turning it around. But
so right after, again, that's just such a weird start. And then the 9 o'clock start. This game's gonna be a lot of fun. Nebraska, Cincinnati at Arrowhead and Kansas City. So keep that in mind. It's a neutral site. This is going to be the year. Dylan Raiola is going to be a Heisman contender.
I don't know, man. I don't know, man.
Dylan Raiola is going to be like this kid.
To me, he gets more hype for looking like Patrick Mahomes than his actual play, man.
I was on that same brain wave of overhyped, not really get good. He's got an arm.
He does, but I can't stand behind it, man. I don't know, man. I'm just not really sold on the hype yet. To me, I'm more so stuck on the hype of him looking and being like Patrick Mahomes than his actual play. Not saying he's not a good quarterback. He's obviously a great quarterback. I've seen him, make some great throws and things like that. He commands his offense, which is extremely important. And I think he does, go on to at least get Nebraska to a point where they were last year. But I'm just not sold on his quarterback ability, man. I feel like, for guys to become, obviously, there's a lot of quarterbacks out there right now. But I feel like this is a time where you could really, really make a name for yourself as a quarterback. So he has a chance to do that with his play. However, he's done it with his looks already of dressing up like Pat Mahomes every time. But I feel like with his play, if he does have a great season, this is a year where, maybe I'm not going to say get in the Heisman conversation. I cannot give him that. I can't. I don't know. I can't come around to that. But
Well, you
this
have
could
to
be
think
the
too.
time where people start to talk about him for his game.
You have to think too, right? Indiana is not going to be what they were last year. They're going to be good, but I don't think they're going to be what they were last year. Illinois, I think, will be.
They're still pretty steady.
I would expect Michigan to
continue
a
on.
step up.
Michigan State's going to improve too.
Ohio State will be good. Now, I don't know about like back-to-back good.
Yeah,
Penn
they'll still be there.
Aller needs to improve. I think he was just so like he had his moments. He was really good. Big Ten championship game. He was good.
Yeah.
For 3 weeks of the season, what is this guy doing? Middle of the season, what is this guy doing? So I would expect him to obviously get better. I hope Michigan State can. I love when Michigan State is good.
Yeah,
East Lansing is so fun.
It is.
And I would really like Michigan State to improve. Oregon, I'm thinking, is going to be good. Can USC take the next step?
Yeah, because
there's a lot of
you forget about that. Well, at least I keep forgetting that the new schools are in the Big Ten now.
West,
Washington, and
the Big Ten, right? For positions like 2 through 4, I'll still give Ohio State 1.
Yeah.
As much as it kills me, I'll still give Ohio State 1. 2 through 4, 2 through 5, wide open.
Definitely.
Wide open. What better way to make a name for yourself if you're Dylan Raiola
to win
than to play Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game? Not saying it's a lock they're in, but
man,
I don't know. I think I wouldn't put it past them to finish high.
All I know, man. And we've seen a lot of crazy stuff happen with last year with the rankings. So teams, especially with the way it's organized now, so you really don't know what it's going to be like. But all I know is going back to the Cincinnati-Nebraska game, maybe it's the hater in me. Maybe I'm just hating a little too much.
You think Cincinnati's going to win? Just say.
I hope Cincinnati wins, bro, because I don't want to see him come to the game dressed like Patrick Mahomes.
He doesn't want to
go
listen
out here
to me
and win and celebrate
on the Tuesday following the game. He doesn't want to sit here and listen to me.
Oh my gosh. I don't. I really hope he does not. I just don't want him to win. And maybe it's the hater in me. Like I said, maybe, everybody needs a little bit like a hater going at him for something. So, maybe this is just, I'll be a Dylan Gabriel hater. I'll be a hater for him for sure. I'll take that blame. You will be to Dylan
Raiola what I am to Sugar Sanders.
Yeah, I will gladly. I will gladly be first seat, front row. I will be there every time. No worries. So I'll take that. I'll take the label, whatever. I'll be a hater for him. So, yeah, I'll take it.
All right. Before I think there's one game on Friday that is worth talking about. Yes, and then we'll pause for 45, and then we'll wrap up. We'll talk about that Saturday, and then preview Alabama at Missouri. That prime time, of course, ESPN does great with their prime time window on Friday nights. Week 1, Georgia Tech at Colorado. This is interesting.
It's gonna be
Georgia Tech is a good road team.
Yes.
How does Colorado deal with no more nepotism and Travis Hunter?
Yeah, I mean, you got new team, you got new guys there, new quarterback, new receivers, you got a fresh new team. So this is like, to me, the actual debut of Coach Sanders. Like, obviously, he's coached a couple seasons already, which is like, I mean, hey, it is what it is, like, cool. But now this is like where his coaching career starts for me, because it's no longer he's only here to coach his son, or he's just going to start his son because he's his son. Like, it's none of that stuff at this point. This is where
that is the best take you've had in the 3 months we've been doing the show. I am so proud of you. Best take you've ever had.
I'll call it even, man. I'll always call it even. I'll call it even. Like,
thank you.
Again, I don't think Shador is as bad as you always mention, but again, I'll call it even in terms of what I see and what I really evaluate from the field. And this is going to be this Georgia Tech game here. It's to me is bigger than any of the games that we've seen last year when Shador was there, because it's just a new start to Colorado football. Like if Colorado football is really worth the hype, this is where we prove like, okay, yeah, we know all of a sudden the ticket sales did this, the prices did this, the revenue did this. Like we know all that the back end stuff was taken care of. But that's what happens when you bring in big names and well-known people to go and help out your school or whatever. That's what happens. But in terms of wins, this is really where people are like, all right, we don't really give a shit about father-son time no more. Like, let's see the wins start coming. So, yeah,
So
I
obviously
think
they
that's
lose. Obviously they lose Sanders. Obviously they lose Hunter. The two really underrated losses for me is the other two kids that got drafted. It was LaJohntay Wester.
yes.
Went to Baltimore, and then the bigger one for me is Jimmy Horn. I was a huge Jimmy Horn fan.
I hate
Goes
that
to
he went to
Carolina.
the fucking Panthers. I hate that he
But-
went to the Panthers.
Yeah. Benson on the offensive line, he's gone. He went to Indiana. That's a big loss. Hayes,
Yep.
the defensive end, to Texas A&M. I think those are the only two. Maybe I'm missing a couple, but those are the two big ones. But the one for me, the quarterback, I did not realize this actually. I knew he had transferred. I didn't know where. The Liberty quarterback, Caden Salter, transferred to Colorado.
Mm.
I didn't know that until literally just now.
They got a
That's
5-star too.
And they got a 5. You're right. They did
Yeah.
recruit really well. Dion did really well in recruiting in for the 25, and he's doing really well in 26.
Yeah.
Salter is a great quarterback. If you haven't watched him play, strong arm, high football IQ, good runner. I think he's going to do well. Under Dion, him and Shador are kind of similar, only Salter won't take as many sacks because, completion percentage, pretty important, George Sanders. Moving on, I think Colorado does win this game. Even though Georgia Tech is really good on the road. Salter, I think, will put his name on the map. He could easily go for 4 touchdowns. Georgia Tech secondary, if you remember, not the greatest secondary in the world a season ago.
Yeah.
So they did give a lot of big play. Talked to Cam Ward, Miami. Gave up a lot of big plays. Go talk to Oyigolele. Week 1.
Yeah.
Georgia Tech gave up a couple pretty bad. I know they won that game out in Dublin.
True.
They did give up some pretty big plays. So I will take, but Will Shepard's back too, I think.
Yeah.
Give me the Buffs.
It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting, man, because Colorado has some struggles of their own. Obviously, one of the biggest pieces that they lose, not Shador Sanders, but Travis Hunter is one of the biggest pieces they lose, playing both sides of the ball, being that elite receiver, and then on the defensive end, being able to get a lot of stops and guard the other player's best receiver. So now they lose that guy too, who was solid on both ends of the ball. And even if someone wants to say, well, he wasn't the best receiver or he wasn't the best cornerback, either way he was impactful. So it's like losing him to be able to fill that role is going to be the biggest thing. So now you got to make sure you have certain, guys to fill that role. So I'll be interested in seeing what the secondary can do with Colorado, with the offensive line can do, with the court. Like I'm all in, man. At this point, like I said, this is the start. So like this is the start for Colorado. I'm like, are they actually going to be legit? Are they like actually, going to?
It's there. The potential's there. I've never said the potential for them to be good is not there.
This is true.
This is a fresh start. And I think Salter, with his experience, is actually could not really find anyone more perfect, I think, to take over that program and to drive it into a better direction. So we're going to change plans a little bit. We're going to pick up this conversation next week. So we will start next week with reviewing that week 1 Saturday slate. Missouri. We'll do Tennessee as well, and then
Tennessee's up there.
Maybe perhaps some more recruiting news, depending on what comes in.
Hopefully, we get these recruits, man. Hopefully, we get a couple more 5 stars.
If you are listening on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, thank you. Make sure you follow us on there. The Twitter stuff is down there. Like this, share it, tell your friends, subscribe to us on YouTube. You can become a member, 3 levels of membership. Check them out. We're out.